Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story tonight. South Korea, the United States and Japan have agreed to push with a sense of urgency for strong and effective sanctions against North Korea for its latest nuclear test. They've also reiterated their call for China to take stern action against its traditional allies, saying all four countries have a profound stake in the stability of the region. Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
Senior diplomats from South Korea, the U.S. and Japan on Saturday agreed to push for a thorough and comprehensive response to North Korea's fourth nuclear test. The three regional powers reaffirmed their will to slap effective sanctions on Pyongyang as the United Nations is pushing to punish the regime for its latest provocation. The trilateral meeting in Tokyo brought together South Korean Vice Foreign Minister Im Sung-nam, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Tony Blinken, and Japan's Vice Foreign Minister Akitaka Saiki. The three officials also pressured China, North Korea's longtime ally, to be more proactive and ensure Pyongyang is effectively punished for its actions. Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo all agreed the sanctions against Pyongyang had to be the strongest and most comprehensive yet. Saturday's meeting came around a week and a half after North Korea carried out its fourth nuclear test in defiance of the international community. Speaking at the talk, Seoul's Vice Foreign Minister Im Sung-nam said the world has to send a strong and clear message to North Korea that its behavior is completely unacceptable and can't be tolerated. South Korea's top nuclear envoy met with his Chinese counterpart in Beijing a couple of days ago to gauge what level of support China is willing to give at the United Nations. A resolution against North Korea is currently being drawn up at UN headquarters in New York. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, oil prices crashed for yet another session on Friday to close below $30 a barrel for the first time in 12 years. The oil benchmark Brent crude fell 4.7% to $29.43. US West Texas Intermediate oil fell 5% to $29.51. The eighth slump in 9 sessions took this year's losses to more than 20%, and we're just in mid-January. Analysts have warned that the prospect of an end to the Iranian oil export ban could make prices tumble even further as a tidal wave of new oil hits the market. Now, the turmoil in oil prices is sending shockwaves through financial markets as well. The Dow Jones Industrial Average said 2.4% on Friday, the S&P 500 2.2%, and the Nasdaq dropped 2.7%. European and Asian markets, including Korea's Kospi, ended sharply down on Friday as well. Local analysts say Korean shares will likely remain volatile next week due to the continued jitters over oil and the uncertainty in China. Chinese President Xi Jinping has officially opened the $100 billion Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Speaking at the opening ceremony for the new China-backed lender on Saturday, President Xi said the AIIB will provide impetus for economic growth in Asia and the rest of the world. Also speaking at the ceremony was South Korea's new Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho. He said the AIIB will play a critical role in helping Asia maintain its growth and better cope with economic challenges. Now, the Beijing-based AIIB will compete and cooperate with the Washington-based World Bank and Japan-led Asian Development Bank. South Korea is one of the 57 founding members, with Seoul giving a capital subscription of roughly $3.75 billion. Now, Tsai Ing-wen has been elected Taiwan's first female president. Tsai, leader of the China skeptic Democratic Progressive Party, the DPP, easily defeated the governing party, Kuomintang, or KMT, who have been in power for the last 8 years. Now, the result could mark a turning point in Taiwan's democracy and relationship with Beijing. For more details, we are going to connect with Eugene Zhang, a Reuters correspondent based in Taipei. So, Eugene, can you give us a rundown of the results and describe the atmosphere there on this historic moment for Taiwan?
Yes, hi, Mark. Tonight, the Taiwanese people have made history. They have elected their first female president, Tsai Ing-wen. She defeated the nationalist Kuomintang by a landslide. She's been leading in the vote count by at least 20% since the early hours. And by the time about 70 to 80% of the votes had been open, the tens of thousands of Tsai Ing-wen supporters gathered in front of the DPP headquarters. And where I am, they've been cheering as if the victory was confirmed. Now, we've been hearing firecrackers go off, a cheering and a waving of flags that have the words "Light Up Taiwan," which is a DPP slogan written on them. Eric Chu, the nationalist candidate, accepted defeat just 3 hours after voting booths closed, and Taiwanese premier resigned after the ruling nationalists lost the presidential election. So already we are seeing an acceptance of change in the ruling government. Now, you have to remember that China is watching this very, very closely. Beijing regards Taiwan as its territory and has never announced the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control. Now, there are hundreds of missiles pointing at the island, even though people-to-people exchanges has improved significantly between the two sides, with at least 180 cross-strait flights happening every week. Now, China is also Taiwan's largest trading partner and investors' favorite destination for that matter, so we will have to wait and see what Taiwan's and the DPP, the victory, means for the island's relations with their giant neighbor. Back to you, Mark.
Well, Eugene Jung, thank you very much for that report out of Taipei. Now, the siege at a hotel in Burkina Faso is over after an attack by suspected Islamist gunmen. The country's interior minister says at least 126 people were freed and 3 extremists killed in a military operation at the Splendid Hotel in the capital, Ouagadougou. He said about 30 people were injured and officials are still trying to confirm the number of people killed. At least 10 bodies have been found inside a cafe near that hotel. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb has claimed responsibility for the attack. Both the Splendid Hotel and the cafe are popular with UN staff and foreigners. French and American embassies have warned their citizens to stay away from the downtown area. The US Department of Defense says it will punish the 12 people it found responsible for lapses which led to the mistaken shipment of live anthrax to a US airbase in South Korea last year. The Pentagon's report found faulty oversight at the US Army Dugway Proving Ground Lab in Utah. The report says Brigadier General William E. King, who ran the lab between 2009 and 2011, did not take necessary safety measures despite several warnings. It said King's attitude created a kind of culture of complacency within the lab. The others were found to have failed to adhere to the correct precautions in management and delivery procedures. The Defense Department has been investigating the Dugway lab after it was disclosed last May that live anthrax samples were sent to nearly 200 labs in 50 US states and 9 foreign countries, including South Korea. Now, cosmetics and medicines that contain both oil and water need some special chemicals to mix the two together that can often be harmful to the body. But now, Korean researchers have developed a way of mixing oil and water without the help of those chemicals. Our Park Se-young has the details.
It's fairly common knowledge that oil and water don't mix, which is why cosmetics manufacturers use surfactants to mix the two. Surfactants are compounds that prevent natural particle separation by disrupting the interface of two liquids. Chemical surfactants can pose a danger to the human body, while the organic versions carry a heavy price tag. Now, a Korean research team has successfully developed a method of mixing oil and water at room temperature without surfactants.
We can manufacture products that require surfactants without using them, allowing us to pioneer a new market.
Using a focused ultrasound device, the research team successfully dispersed oil particles in a water and oil solution. They used Cetyl brand oil, regular olive oil, and distilled water, and the result was a nanoscale emulsion created without the use of surfactants. The researchers say their method could be used to make body-friendly cosmetics, medicines, and food. And with the size of this year's global cosmetics market estimated at $280 billion and the nanomedicine industry estimated at $24 billion, the number of possible applications is potentially unlimited. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, in culture-related news, a famous Korean soprano made an appearance in the movie Youth, which hit cinema screens around the world last year. Sumi took centre stage in the final scenes of that picture. She performed a song called Simple Song. The track was nominated for Best Original Song at the Golden Globes, and it could actually end up winning an Oscar. Oh Se-young has the details.
Wearing a red dress that glitters as it catches the light, soprano Sumi delivers the final song of Paolo Sorrentino's latest movie, Youth. Called Simple Song, the 6-minute piece is anything but plain like its name. It's a masterpiece filled with the sweeping emotions of its composer in the movie, a retired composer and conductor, reflecting on his life during his stay at an alpine resort. The story hangs on whether he will conduct his composition at a concert for the Queen of England. The movie reaches a climax with Cho's breathtaking performance.
In the movie, the Queen's emissary repeatedly mentions that the masterpiece will be performed by Sumi Jo. This goes to show that Cho is acknowledged as a talented soprano, even in the UK.
With Cho's powerful delivery, the song has been nominated for Best Original Song at this year's Academy Awards. The winning song will be announced on February 28th. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Well, good luck to Sumi Jo with that Oscar nomination. Now, before we go, we're going to leave you with a brief overview of the weather. And most of Korea is under partly cloudy skies tonight. It doesn't really feel that cold tonight, and it's not going to feel that cold either on Sunday. The high in Seoul is going to reach a relatively mild 5 degrees Celsius. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, those are stories we have for you this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.